This is the first programmatic symphony in the common repertoire. You'll notice how each movement has a descriptive title. Instead of just being pure music, Beethoven is using this symphony to express the countryside as he envisions it. Another noteworthy thing is that Beethoven uses 5 movements instead of the usual 4, and it allows him to tell a kind of story through each movement. First, arrival at the countryside, then relaxing by the brook, then a gathering of the country folk, then a thunderstorm that interrupts the gathering, but then the country folk are happy and thankful after the storm has passed. But remember, Beethoven said that this was the expression of feelings rather than the painting of things. Beethoven doesn't want you to take the music too literally. It's just an expression of feelings, not a literal bar-by-bar story. It could just as easily be listened to with no story at all and still hold up as a great piece of music. The last thing is, if you look closely at this score, you'll notice just how marked up it is. The melodies have so much articulation and thought, and the dynamics are so well planned out. The Fifth Symphony may have more harmonic variety, but Beethoven here chooses to vary and explore other qualities of music, particularly dynamics, articulation, and orchestration. Again, I've made a podcast on this symphony if you want to go into more detail. So, the first movement is titled Awakening of Happy Feelings on Arrival in the Countryside. It opens at once with this theme. And this answer. It all has a rustic simplicity, a kind of simple directness, and often the themes are followed by these long series of birdsong repetitions, where the same bar or little cell of notes will repeat themselves, sometimes for dozens of bars, growing and growing, and then diminishing again with a natural organic flow. This movement shows that Beethoven knows how to relax. Nothing could be more easygoing to listen to. The second subject is this. And this slowly stretches itself out, and the exposition ends with this cadence theme. The development has this interesting period of growth where the simplest repeated figures will bloom into something new. 12 bars of B-flat major bloom into 28 bars of D major. And then he goes in the opposite direction. 12 bars of G major blooming into 28 bars of E major. And yet Beethoven finds ways to make this music compelling. While the harmony is largely static, everything about the music is in a state of growth or decay. It's like a long inhale and an even longer exhalation. One of the most surprisingly relaxed parts of this movement is the end of the development. Instead of a building of tension on the dominant, which is what you'd normally expect, Beethoven dissolves all tension and leaves us with a 4-1 plagal cadence instead of a 5-1 perfect cadence. The recap then continues as you'd expect, with some lovely alterations and a coda, a moment of joy at the end of the movement. Movement 2 is titled By the Brook. This is also in sonata form. If the first movement was relaxed, then this one is bliss. The brook flows on forever as the listener lies basking in the sun on its banks. We hear the flowing brook in 2 muted solo cellos. That little broken line gradually becomes a sustained melody as the listener's relaxed thoughts gradually take shape. It's later repeated with bird trills above, and then comes a new theme. And as with other themes in this symphony, it will be repeated and passed around the orchestra. Later, after enjoying the tonic key for a long time, we finally leave that key for a second subject. Which is followed by this charming line. And so all these ideas are drawn out beautifully over the course of this movement. It ends with a famous quotation of birdsong, nightingale, quail, cuckoo, all singing to each other from the trees. It's a perfect expression of happiness in relaxation. The scherzo third movement is titled Merry Gathering of Country Folk. This seems a character piece, letting the country folk have their gathering at a dance. It has a wonderful rustic beginning. And the trio begins with this delightful theme. And then a folk dance asserts itself boisterously in a new tempo. After some repeats of these dances, there is one final celebration when, suddenly, there is a murmur of distant thunder and raindrops. We have entered into the fourth movement, Thunder, Storm. Beethoven perfectly captures the thrill of this movement. Soon the thunderstorm bursts, and for the first time in this symphony, we hear timpani and piccolo. And we hear quick thunderclaps too. Eventually, the storm dies away, until, with the last distant mutterings of the thunder, the oboes give a long, slow fragment of bright, sustained melody, which sounds very like the brook's flowing theme from the second movement. And so we come to the fifth movement, the Shepherd's Song, Thanksgiving After the Storm. It begins with a sort of yodel on a pastoral pipe, followed by this peaceful rondo theme. From this theme arises an important transition theme. And this leads to more relaxed, thankful, calm ruminations on the countryside, until the broad coda, which continues its thanksgiving, exploring this shepherd's song, inhaling and exhaling, and as glorious as the fields refreshed by rain. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to support my work or buy me a coffee to say thank you, you can visit my Patreon page at patreon.com/InsideTheScore. I really do appreciate the support. It means a lot. And thank you again for watching. Go have a listen to this piece and indeed all the Beethoven symphonies. And I'll see you very soon.